Hey guys, what's going on, everybody? Um, Here with another live stream. It's been a little bit since I did a live stream, so I'm excited to do one here today. Um, as always, questions in the chat. Um, Anything you want in the chat. Let me just do a quick. Let's do a quick sound check. Are we good on sound? Are we good on video? Everything good? And let me know in the chat that we're okay. And then we'll jump into this thing. Just waiting for somebody to okay audio and video that everything looks good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Okay. So first thing I want to do, because this video, usually I do Blu-ray 4K collection updates in their own video, but today what we're going to do is we're going to do it on this live stream, so you guys will see it first, and this video will be available as a recording on YouTube afterward. So I got some new stuff in from Mill Creek. Hopefully you guys can see this. Maybe I'll have to unwrap them. Yeah, I use my teeth. I know it's bad for me, but I got to open these plastics somehow. So the first one from Mill Creek is a really cool title, and it is a double feature of the H-Man and Battle in Outer Space. Kind of one of these cool older like 50s movies, sci-fi double features. Then I'm not going to open all these, but then I've got Enemy Gold, which is an Andy Sedaris movie. That's from Mill Creek. I literally just got these in, so they're still shrink wrapped. The Dallas Connection. This is a cool one, also from Mill Creek. Then we've got two kind of westerns, The Man from the Alamo and They Came to Cordora. So those are cool. I got Hollywood Story and New Orleans Uncensored. So that's another cool one. A Deadly Place. This is a DVD set, but it has 10 horror movies. So that's a cool one. World War II Heroes, all about World War II. And 1619 Up from Slavery. This is a 14-part documentary series about the struggle of slavery and that time period. And then I also got the White Crane Chronicles, starring David Carradine. Some other titles I got. I have St. Francis. This came in from a Skilloscope. So that's cool. I got A Soldier's Revenge from Wellgo USA. Another cool title there. And then you guys saw these probably if you watched the channel, but we got Jaws on 4K and the Jaws 4K Steelbook from Best Buy, still sealed. So also have Watchmen. Urban Cowboy. This came out from Paramount. I just did a video on these two, Maniac and Zombie. You guys probably saw the video on that. Pretty in Pink, which is a 4K remaster. And then someone sent me both of these today, and I don't know who it was, but I got 4K versions of Chamber of Secrets and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter. So I don't know anything about those. And you're walking in on the stream. Can you take her out of here? Sorry. That's okay. She's bugging. My dog's got a thing on her neck because she's bugging out and she has allergies, and we got to get her out of my room now. So give me 1 second. Go get her. You want to close the door? Thank you. Yeah, there was a cameo. Dogs and wife. So now that we get that, now that that's all set, yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm gonna be on here for like the next, I don't know, 40 minutes or so. But I see some questions coming in here. Archer 183, was the Hunt any good? I'm not sure yet. Here's the interesting thing about the Hunt. I know I have it coming to me on Blu-ray, but the studio actually asked me if I would be comfortable getting it because of the current events. So I guess it's kind of a political movie or something, or it's kind of violent. It has some like weird political undertones. So they were like, "Do you still want it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I still want it. I want to watch it. Like, just, maybe I won't review it this week if you guys think it's sensitive." But that was a weird question. So I haven't seen The Hunt. Um, Civil War Beard's going to be around until this civil war against the coronavirus is over. But actually, I do think stuff is starting to open up. We're now in like phase 2 in Massachusetts. So I can go get my hair cut, and I am planning to do that. Um, and I'll probably do it this weekend. So the beard, I'm actually going to keep it kind of long, but I'm definitely going to have them trim it back and everything. Um, but yeah, it's out of control. I didn't get Rad 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. I thought it was kind of expensive, to be honest, but I know they put a lot of work into it, so I'll probably get it at some point. But I could also just talk to them, and maybe they'll send me one to review it because it's kind of cool. Um, can I give you a yay or a nay on the quality Columbia set you just recently received? This is an interesting one. So the Columbia Classics set, I did an unboxing, and so far I am happy with it. I'm very happy with it, I should say. I think it's great. The quality of the set itself, if we're just talking about the box and packaging and the fact that each release got its own slipcover and own case, like really, really good. Like, great job by Columbia. And as some people said in the comments on that video, yeah, Disney, you should really take note of how to do a box set. This Columbia Classics box set blows their Skywalker Saga box set out of the water. Skywalker Saga is a joke compared to the Columbia Classics. So Columbia Classics is a great set. Now, if you're talking about video and audio quality, I'm not 100% there yet to share my thoughts, but I am going to start with Lawrence of Arabia, then work my way through. I think I'll do Gandhi next. Then Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and then I'll work my way through some of the newer movies, A League of Their Own, Jerry Maguire, and I'm missing one for some reason. What's the sixth movie in that set? Yeah, that's terrible. Lawrence of Arabia, Gandhi, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Jerry Maguire, A League of Their Own. There's one more. I'm totally blanking on it. I'm looking at it across the room, but I can't see, which I cannot remember. Oh, Doctor Strangelove. Hello. Doctor Strangelove. Yes. So I'll be checking out Doctor Strangelove pretty early on because I want to compare that to the Criterion Collection release, which are both supposed to be 4K transfers. So we'll see. And now that things are starting to pick up, look, a lot of comments are coming in. So I do quick chat on this. If you do use the super chat, that supports my channel, and I will 100% get to your question. If you do that, your question will get answered. I guarantee it. Now, for everybody else, I don't want you to think that I'm playing favorites, but if somebody supports the channel, I make sure to answer their question because that's a really nice thing. If I don't answer your question right away, please wait a few minutes before you put it back into the chat. Please don't spam the chat. I will try to get to all of them eventually, but it does take me a long time to go through these. So I'm seeing a few things. Saving Private Ryan on 4K audio and video. I did a review on that probably a couple years ago. So I'm not going to dive into that in depth. Definitely go back to my channel. Go to the 4K. Is it worth an upgrade series? The playlist I have on my channel, and Saving Private Ryan is on there, so you can find that there. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory 4K. I'm not sure about. I'm really not sure. That would be a cool 4K release because it was shot on film and it has some really interesting colors. Like the HDR would be really cool for that. That would be a good one, but I haven't heard anything about it, unfortunately. In the Godfather 4K, a few people have asked about. I have heard that is coming. I don't know when, but I heard it's coming. Some other rumors here. People are asking about The Irishman. Is that coming to Criterion? That's not a rumor. That's confirmed. Netflix seems to have a deal with Criterion Collection right now where the Criterion Collection is putting out the Netflix movies. So they did Roma, which won some Oscars last year. And Netflix is now doing The Irishman. They're doing Marriage Story. And there was one more that they're doing. So it seems like the Netflix movies that are like the high end Netflix movies, like the Oscar contenders, like The Irishman, like Marriage Story, those ones are going to Criterion Collection, and that's sort of how they're justifying putting them on physical media, which is fine because Criterion Collection is for collectors, and the vast majority of people are probably just going to watch them on Netflix and not worry about it. So if you put them on Criterion, you cater to that collector who really wants to own a physical copy. So I'm okay with it. Is Aliens, plural, getting a 4K release anytime soon? We don't know. I haven't heard anything. Is Aliens James Cameron? I think Aliens is James Cameron. So his 4K movies, I don't know what the hell's going on with him. Lord of the Rings 4K 100%. That's coming later this year. It's probably November, probably in time for the holidays, but it's going to be a big box set like the Star Wars one, where it's going to be Lord of the Rings and it'll be Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy. So it'll be 6 movies in a big box set. They haven't announced anything, but that's going to come in November. And then on Back to the Future trilogy, the rumor is right now that that's going to come out in September. I think it was slated for this summer originally, but some things got delayed due to COVID-19 and pandemics and things. The whole world just stopped, right, for a little bit. So I think that Back to the Future got pushed back. It would have been a great summer release, but now it looks like it's going to shoot for September. But that whole trilogy is coming to 4K. If you don't own Lord of the Rings, another good question, follow up on that. If you don't own Lord of the Rings on Blu-ray, yeah, I would say wait for the 4K because I think those are going to be awesome in 4K. And the Hobbit movies could be really cool because of the frame rate. Like Gemini Man at 60 frames per second looks so good on 4K that you could actually see a really cool 48 frame per second Hobbit presentation on 4K. And thank you, Marco. That's awesome. I really appreciate your support. You don't even have a question, so that's really cool, and I appreciate that. But yeah, thanks for getting the super chats rolling, man. So Keith has a good question here. Reports are not only that AMC is going under, but the whole theater industry. Is that hard to believe? Honestly, it's not hard to believe because think about it. Those theaters rely on concessions and they rely on getting butts in the seat. And for 3 months now, literally for 3 months, full 3 months, it's crazy that it's been this long, but for 3 months, they have not been able to put anybody in their theater. And now it looks like even into the summer, into the fall, based on what I know from Massachusetts, the way they're approaching schools and theaters, they're already canceling things for September. They're already canceling things for October. All of the concerts that they're having this fall are supposed to be moving to outside if they can, or those are getting canceled. And so I don't see movie theaters opening up at full capacity anytime soon, which unfortunately means, yes, AMC theaters will probably go out of business. Regal cinemas will probably go out of business. And unfortunately, this one hurts the most. Your local theater is probably going out of business. And that sucks because I have a local theater. It's not super local. It's 45 minutes from me, but it's near Boston. It's called the Somerville Theater. And they have a few locations. They have Coolidge Corner. They have Somerville Theater. They do amazing, amazing things at their theaters. They show 70 millimeter prints. They do an awesome Boston Independent Film Festival, which I go to every year, which was canceled this year. So those are the theaters I'm worried about. And like your Draft House theaters, which do such a cool job as a small chain. I'm really worried about them. The only way they'll get bailed out is if a big player like Amazon steps in and says, we're buying AMC. And now we're going to show Amazon movies in the theaters, right? Because AMC wouldn't typically do that. Or a Netflix steps in and says, you know what, we're going to buy Draft House theaters. And those are going to become Netflix movie theaters. Because movie theaters have a place, 100% have a place in society. And I don't care how many streaming apps are out there. There's something about going to the movies. We have takeout and we have delivery, but there's still something about going to a restaurant and sitting down, right? and enjoying that with other people. It's the same kind of thing, in my opinion. Um, Only Caleb, thank you. It probably won't ever happen, but I really want a never-ending story 4K. How about me? Um, I think that never-ending story would be a cool 4K. I could actually see that one. I don't think that that's a never. I think that that's a potential because that 4K is going to play on a lot of things. It's going to play on movies that collectors like, which are going to be classic movies that are nostalgic. And if you figure the average collector now is somewhere between 28 to 50, right in that range, late 20s to into your 50s and 60s. Neverending Story is a movie that's going to play well with them. I think that's a major reason why we see like this Columbia Classics going with Jerry Maguire and A League of Their Own instead of maybe some other titles. 30,000 people voted for those, and those are the titles they picked. I would have never guessed that, but those are the ones people want. So it's very, very interesting. But I do think Neverending Story would be a good one, and I would not say it's a never. I think it's a maybe. Um, Henry Hill, this is a good question. Do you think drive-in movie theaters will make a huge comeback? Um, I think that they will. They'll make a comeback, but I mean the ones that are already out there. So I go to, if anybody's local to Massachusetts, New England, I go to Cape Cod. I used to go every summer. My grandparents had a house. They had to sell it. But now we try to rent a house with my entire family once a year because it's expensive down there. So we rent one house for the whole family for a week. And there's a drive-in theater down there on the Cape, which has always done well, the Wellfleet Drive-In. And I'm really excited because I'm supposed to be going in about a month, a little bit over a month to the Cape for a vacation this summer. I'm excited to see what they're doing there. They won't have new releases to show, but oh my God, if I could go watch Jaws at a drive-in on Cape Cod, that would be killer. So, I think that that's one way that businesses around me have started to go. And I know even like the New England Patriots, their stadium, they're using the parking lot as a drive-in. There's a big Chinese food restaurant that's using their parking lot as a drive-in. And so like movies are people want to see movies and they want to watch them in public places with an audience. So there's a place for that. You only have Showcase cinemas in Rhode Island. That's crazy. I got AMC, I got Showcase, there's a Regal in Boston. There's a whole bunch of them. Um, just going through. So there was a GoFundMe. This is a good point. If you are interested in supporting local theaters, Criterion's doing a GoFundMe to help support the local theater chains, and you can give to that. I don't have any update on that. Haven't heard anything. I knew they were doing that. But yeah, hopefully it will help the smaller theaters like the ones by me survive. Um, this is a good Ben Tompkin. Good question here. And I am seeing. Listen, I'm seeing all you guys' questions, but again, um, the best way to get your questions seen, use that super chat, even if it's $1. It supports me, and I'll make sure to get to your question. Otherwise, just bear with me. Doing my best here. But Ben had a good question here on South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut on 4K. They did go back and scan 35 millimeter prints for the Blu-ray, and South Park is actually one of those animated movies or animated shows where if you guys know anything about South Park, they've gone back and rescanned episodes from the late 90s, early 2000s. They look incredible on HD because they're able to go back and scan whatever they originally animated on. So I would say that would be South Park would be a really cool 4K if they have a 35 millimeter print. I didn't know that, but if they do, it would look awesome. Pirates of the Caribbean in 4K. I'm not sure about that one. Disney's tough right now. Disney's real tough on everything. So we'll see what happens with Disney stuff. But I do know there's some good news about Disney Fox titles now that they own Fox. Can't tell you what it is, but there's some Fox stuff coming to 4K, which is good. They're coming around on it. Neil Donahue, I screened the Predator 4K on my drive last weekend. big hit. That's actually really cool. That's a cool idea. If you have like I have multiple projectors. I could probably take a projector outside and pop it in my driveway and have some people sit in lawn chairs and spread out. That'd be really cool. I should maybe do something like that with family. I could do it in my backyard. I have an outdoor projector screen. I have a projector. That's a really cool idea, Neil. Um, but glad you're showing movies to everybody. That's awesome. Um, Tron Legacy would look incredible in 4K HDR. It's a no-brainer, so I hope they do that one, Julian. What's my favorite movie and horror movie? So these are actually, if you consider Jaws a horror movie, these are all the same. It's Jaws. Jaws, my favorite movie. Jaws, my favorite horror movie. Now, if you don't consider Jaws a horror movie, which I do, but if you want to go more traditional horror, it's Halloween for me. So it's Jaws and Halloween. Those are 1, 2 for me. And horror is my favorite genre. Horror thriller. I really like David Fincher movies. So stuff like Zodiac, which is like sort of a horror movie but a thriller. Stuff like Prisoners, which is like thriller horror. That's my favorite genre. So, good question, Ryan. Watch my Columbia Classics. Do you find it annoying that Lawrence of Arabia and Gandhi are on 2 discs? Personally, no. I don't find it annoying because if they weren't on 2 discs, it wouldn't be a good transfer. And so you have to split that up if you want, because the discs are only 100 gigabytes. So if you didn't split them up, you'd have a compressed transfer and it wouldn't look good. And I don't know. It's going to be annoying to take them out, right? It's going to be annoying to take a disc out and have to put another disc in. But honestly, that's the only way to get these movies. And some people said, well, Avengers Endgame is 3 hours long. Why is that on 1 disc? Well, because it's a 2K upscale to 4K and doesn't have nearly as much data as Lawrence of Arabia, which is also 4.5 hours long. So I think it is what it is. I'm not worried about it. I'd rather have the quality and have to get up 2 hours in and just swap a disc than to have a really subpar disc. Justin, thank you for support. Do you think buying 3D Blu-ray discs are still worth it? And real quick, Luke, $12.96. Send me an email. I have 3D glasses. I can sell them to you. Justin, do I think 3D Blu-ray is still worth it? In my opinion, no. But I'm just not a 3D collector, right? I'm just not a 3D collector. And that's just me. That's just me. I'm not a 3D collector. But 3D Blu-ray has its place, and it's kind of a niche. It is what it is. It's a niche thing, but it's still going to be out there, and I think it's still popular. But I do think you're going to see those drop off, unfortunately. So that kind of sucks. David, thanks for your support, man. Just found me a couple weeks ago. Oh boy. Hey, you got a lot of videos to watch, man. I've been doing this for like 3 years. So definitely go back, watch some reviews, watch some of my technical stuff where I talk about HDR and Dolby Atmos and all that good stuff. I try to put it in like layman's terms because honestly, I'm not an expert. I'm not an audio video guy. I don't work for any crazy company. I just call it as I see it and as I hear it. And I've got some cool equipment, but that's why I like the way I do reviews, because I don't really care about how many nits there are or what the brightness level is measured on the TV with special equipment. I kind of just, hey, does it look good or not? And that's what it's all about. So a couple questions came in the chat that you want to just, if you missed the beginning of the live stream, I showed off some stuff. So somebody asked, did I get the Jaws 4K Steelbook? Yes, of course I did. And somebody else asked if Paramount Presents will continue, and I just got Pretty in Pink. So as far as I know, they're still going. And Paramount Presents is going to continue doing their thing. Hopefully, if they sell well, they transition over to 4K. Psycho in 4K. I hope so. I'm hoping for a Hitchcock 4K box set. I want Psycho. I want The Birds. I wish we could get To Catch a Thief, but we got a 4K on Blu-ray instead. I'm really hoping for Vertigo. I have the Hitchcock box set, but it's Blu-ray. I want a Hitchcock 4K box set. Um, so hopefully we'll get that. I do think Heat will come to 4K. That's kind of a Ben-Hur also probably come to 4K. Are TCL 4K TVs any good for the price for the budget? Yes, but don't go at the lowest. Don't go in at the lowest TCL series. Go for the TCL. I think it's Series 6. That's a good TV for the price. Um, William Marshall, thank you for the support. What do you think of John Carpenter's 4K releases and the new Akira 4K remaster? Um, I don't know about John Carpenter's 4K releases. All I know is that Halloween came out, and I haven't heard anything else. But I would love to see The Thing on 4K. God, I would love to see. I mean, all of Carpenter's stuff. They Live, Escape from New York. Sorry, not Escape from New York. Assault on Precinct 13. Like, I would love for that stuff to come out in 4K, but we'll see what happens. And Akira 4K, haven't seen it, haven't heard much about it. I'll have to check it out. Everyone says the Akira remasters is incredible. I'll have to check it out. Am I going to be reviewing Pretty in Pink? I'm going to try my darndest. Carlos, thanks for the shout out, man. You're the best, not me. I'm not the best. I'm just having fun with this stuff and collecting movies and just talking about it. What was my favorite or the best 4K disc that I've ever seen? Um, that's tough, man. I honestly, from like just a strictly technical presentation, Gemini Man was so freaking good on 4K. Like it took it to another level. But that's also a much more modern release. 2001 Space Odyssey is probably still tops in my book. It's if I had to rank like older movies, I would go like 2001. Jaws is a very close second. And then probably something like The Shining would be third. Those three. Incredible. Apocalypse Now is in there too. Noel Hernandez, thank you, sir. What's your ranking of the major studios on 4K transfers? Good question. Really good question. So, who would I put first? If we're going major studios, so we'll say to qualify who the major studios are, we'll say Sony, Disney, Fox, Paramount, Universal, and Lionsgate. Right? I would put Sony first. Sony knows what they're doing with 4K. Sony's transfers are really, really good. Philadelphia is a great one. Ghostbusters was good. I'm trying to think. I just got some Sony stuff. I mean, the Columbia Classics, the fact that they've got Lawrence of Arabia and Gandhi, Sony's number one. Number two, I'd probably go Warner Brothers. They've done a really, really nice job with Stanley Kubrick stuff, The Shining, and 2001: A Space Odyssey, as well as many other titles that they've killed it on. And then tied for third would be, I would say, Universal next because they're at least pumping out 4K stuff. And then I'd put Paramount fourth just because they could kill it. But they're just not putting out 4K releases. They're doing Pretty in Pink and they're doing To Catch a Thief and other stuff, but they're doing 4K masters, but not on 4K discs. So I can't really rank them there. And then Lionsgate, I have to say, is at the bottom of the barrel. They have a few nice ones. They do have a few nice ones, but a lot of their stuff that they put out early on 4K is just 2K upscaled stuff that doesn't look good. So I put them last. So that's how I'd rank them. Has Warner Brothers announced a 4K Kubrick collection? Not yet. Clockwork would be great. Barry Lyndon, obviously. They have The Shining and they have 2001. Full Metal Jacket is coming to 4K. Like, there's a lot. Taxi Driver 4K. Good question. I would wait to buy the Blu-ray. If you don't already own the Blu-ray, wait to buy the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is incredible. The Blu-ray of Taxi Driver is awesome. It's a 4K transfer and it looks amazing. But it's a Sony title, and I think that if Columbia Classics Volume 1 does well, now there's only 8,000. This is something I didn't talk about in my video. There's only 8,000 Columbia Classics units. After that, they say that this is the only way you're going to get all these together. So now I'm not sure if I don't know if they're going to ever come out individually, but there's 8,000 units, and that's it. Sold out. They're not coming out anymore. So then if they go into volume two, I think that Taxi Driver will be in volume two. So I would hold off on Taxi Driver because they have that scanned ready to go. They just need to put it on disc. Um, were there any two disc 4Ks before Gandhi and Lawrence of Arabia? And yeah, Disney's last. Disney, I can't stand Disney and what they're doing. Um, Full Metal Jacket, September 25th. Yes. I don't think there were any two disc 4Ks that you had to swap out, because you're talking about Gandhi and Lawrence of Arabia being 4-hour movies. I know 2001 was a very long movie that wasn't swapped out. Apocalypse Now was a long movie that was not swapped out. So I think that I don't I think these are the first that are split across two discs. Um, and the sword behind me, a lot of people are asking, that is from Game of Thrones. That is Jon Snow's sword. Um, so it's got the wolf head on the top with the red eyes, and it's hanging on a plaque that has the Night's Watch oath. So I think I bought that when Game of Thrones was back in. Actually, I think my wife got it for me for my birthday, and we got that, or Christmas. We got that back when they were in like season 4 or 5, and Jon Snow's my guy, 100%. Game of Thrones, Jon Snow's my guy, so I got his sword, and then my Predator is right behind me over here, and I've got some other stuff. That's an Interstellar IMAX poster from IMAX opening weekend. I love that poster. So some cool stuff behind me. I've switched up the backdrop. This is actually where I work. This is when I'm working from home. I work right here. I sit right here, and this is where I work. So not a bad place to work. Just have to wash my head. That's actually a lot higher than it looks, though. I have a slant in the ceiling, but that's a lot higher than it looks. Jason, thanks for your support, man. Do I think they'll do Stallone Judge Dredd in 4K? Good question. Maybe, maybe. I don't have any news on that. I think it would be another good one. They've done other Stallone titles like Cliffhanger, that maybe are not the most popular. So Judge Dredd, I think, is certainly in the running. But if you do want a really good 4K and 3D movie, pick up Dredd, the new Dredd with Carl Urban. I love that movie. Um, have I seen Heat and Home Alone in 4K? No, haven't yet, but I hope to on disc someday. Um, Here's a good question. Do I think 8K physical media will be the new format in 10 years or earlier? And I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think that 4K is the end of the line. And I think that uh, physical media, I think, will stop at 4K. 8K discs, you would need, think about an 8K version of Lawrence of Arabia, which you could do it, but it's one of the few movies you could do a good 8K transfer with, and that's already split over two 4K discs. You go to 8K, you've got I mean, you might have like a 4 disc set. So, and honestly, people cannot see in their homes. There may be a place for 8K in movie theaters. If the screens get bigger, IMAX movie theaters, you need more resolution. You got massive monster screens. Sure, 8K projectors could be a thing. But again, almost every movie that comes out nowadays is rendered in 2K or at the best 4K. So 8K is only going to make sense for older movies. And then you're buying re releases, and I don't see it happening. I think 4K is the end of the line. It's kind of the limits of where people can really start to tell any difference in their homes and resolution. And I think 4K is it. Now, I don't think 4K is going anywhere. I think 4K is actually doing well. And the fact that Sony's putting out Columbia Classics releases and stuff, I think it's a good sign. But 8K discs aren't a thing. And honestly, I wouldn't buy an 8K TV. If you're buying a 55-inch 8K TV, you're totally wasting your money, because if you're sitting more than a foot away from the TV, you won't be able to tell the difference between 4K and 8K. Look it up. It's marketing, right? 8K is strictly marketing. 4K, there are real benefits. There are real benefits on larger screens and on projectors for 4K. But on a 55-inch screen, an 8K TV is a joke. Um, Javier, thank you for your support, man. Have I seen the 4K release of The Professional? I have. I have seen that, and it's really nice, really well done. Another Sony title. Highly recommended it. I didn't do a review. I picked that up, but very, very good. Do you think we'll get Good, Bad, and the Ugly on 4K? I do. I think that one's coming. Um, Possible to buy Lawrence of Arabia 4K separate. As of this point, no. The fact that they came out in separate cases makes me think that they possibly could, but I have no indication of that right now. 70-inch 8K TV, would you be able to tell? Depends on how close you're sitting to it, but honestly, again, I would probably say no. If you're most people sit like 10 feet away from their TV, right? And that sounds like a lot, but it's not. I sit, my projector screen is like, I'm like 15 feet away. Um, I, you need to be at like 100 inches to see 8K, the difference in 8K. I would stay away from 8K like the plague until we know more about it. That's what I'll say. Not a technology we need to adopt, and not a technology that makes any sense for your home in 55 inches. Um, Lots of comments coming in. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to keep up. I'm going to be on here for about another 20 minutes. Cool question here. Is there a place where we can check on the movie's number of physical copies sold? Not that I know of, right? So if it's not a limited edition, they usually don't release print counts. One way to tell that they overprinted movies is that they show up at Dollar Tree. If your movie on Blu-ray is showing up at Dollar Tree, that means they printed way too many for them to get there. The only ones we really know about are limited editions, and we can take a guess that things like Paramount Presents are printed in shorter print runs than, I would say, a mainstream movie. Criterion, also shorter print runs, I'm sure. But other than studios like Twilight Time, which actually number them, or like the Columbia set or an Arrow video set that's limited to, say, 1,500 or 2,000 copies, there is really no way to tell. And you shouldn't be going after movies and trying to just find rare ones that are valuable, because it's not really a thing, right? You can Dawn of the Dead Blu-ray right now is still kind of valuable, and in a few weeks it won't be worth anything when the 4K comes out to everybody. Like, so don't try to invest in movies and try to make money off them. If you collect them to watch them. Collect them to have the best version. Don't try to worry about print counts and stuff like that. Limited editions, sure, they have some resale value, but then again, they could just re-release a new edition, and the limited edition is no longer limited. Do I prefer HDR or Dolby Vision? What mode on TV do you taste it? Weird question. I don't know if I taste it. I prefer Dolby Vision's fine. If you give me Dolby Vision, I'll watch it in Dolby Vision. But I honestly do not see a massive difference. Just from my eyes, I don't usually see a massive difference between just a regular HDR10 and a Dolby Vision. There are moments here and there where you're like, oh, that was nice, but for the most part, it's really HDR is great. HDR10, if you have HDR10, it's great. HDR10 Plus is great. HDR Dolby Vision is great. They're all great. So, Javier, another great question. I hope we get a 4K release of all the Bond movies once No Time to Die comes to home video. I'm all in. I'm all in on 4K Bond. The Daniel Craig movies, I wish I had them. I don't have them. I need to get them on 4K. But that would be great. That would be great. And I'd love the older ones. I'd love them to do 4K remasters of some of the older ones. Bond movies they get messy with some rights issues, but it's not too bad. What movie do I want a 4K disc of the most? Good question. I'd have to think, because my answer was always Jaws. Now I got that. I would love to see Halloween 2, because I'm a big Halloween fan. I'd love to see the Indiana Jones movies in 4K. I haven't heard any news on those. I would love to see Indiana Jones on 4K. And I would love to see some of David Fincher's stuff. His stuff is incredible. I'd like to see Seven. I'd like to see Zodiac. I'd really like to see some of those movies that have such great visuals. David Fincher's stuff is awesome. So that would be awesome to have on 4K. I don't have Casino in 4K. Eric says he suspects The Irishman could possibly be Criterion's first 4K. As far as I know, Criterion is not doing 4K, but we'll see. The Game or 7 4K would be awesome. Really cool. Those would be great. How long do you think until we see larger amounts of TV shows on 4K Blu-ray? I honestly don't think you will. I think I have seen Fincher's Mindhunters on Netflix too, Tyler, but thank you for the shout out. I love Mindhunters. It's weird when I say this. I love serial killers, but I love the psychology of it. And I love movies like Zodiac that explore the investigations. And in another life, I'd be an FBI agent like the guys in Mindhunter, hunting down psychological evaluations, doing all that stuff. So I absolutely love that show. But yeah, TV shows on 4K, you're not going to see it. You're just not going to see it. You'll see some of the Netflix stuff. Like obviously we get Stranger Things in 4K. We've got some seasons of Westworld in 4K from HBO. We had Game of Thrones in 4K. Those types of shows will come out on 4K, but you're not going to see like Big Bang Theory on 4K. There's no point. You're not going to get a Friends or a Seinfeld 4K release. That would be cool, but I don't think you'll ever see that. Do you think we'll see more independent distributors putting out films on 4K now that Arrow has entered the 4K? I think so. At this point, the only one that actually is really holding out is Criterion. I don't think anyone else. Vinegar Syndrome did them. Synapse has done them. Arrow's doing them. Shout Factory's doing them. All the major studios have jumped on board. You're really just looking at Criterion. And then even like, who else jumped on board? Kino. I think Kino Lorber did some in 4K. So it's like really just Criterion being the holdout. Is The Mandalorian being released to home video? Good question. I would say right now, no, because they're really trying to ramp up Disney Plus. But I think eventually Disney will cash in on that and there'll be a Mandalorian, hopefully in 4K with proper Dolby Vision and everything in Atmos, but we'll see. Ooh, interesting question. Have I heard the rumor that Tenet, this is Christopher Nolan's new movie Tenet, is a sequel to Inception? Do I have any thoughts on that? So the other day, an article came out and John David Washington, who stars in the movie, said that he basically said it's related to Inception. I don't know if anybody caught that. There's been a lot of news going on that's obviously much more important than, what's going on in the movie world. But John David Washington said it's in the world of Inception. There's some connection there. And so I don't know that Christopher Nolan's going to make it a straight tie-in, but I think that it's related to things that we saw in Inception, and it's in the same fictional world where that sort of technology is available. And I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if some of his other movies are like connected somehow. You know how like Tarantino does it, where like all his movies are kind of connected, or like, Vincent Vega's brother or cousin is in Reservoir Dogs from Pulp Fiction, and like they always smoke the same brand of cigarettes in every movie. And there's some Inglourious Bastards, I think, has some connection. I think he said something about Django was connected to something else. Like I think maybe Christopher Nolan's doing a little bit of that with his movies. Because think about stuff like The Prestige. Like, couldn't you see him saying like, oh, the magic and the illusions in The Prestige? This was like the beginning of this technology where now we have Inception and Tenet and time shifting. Like I could see him like trying to tie that all in at some point. Is Shazam 4K worth it? Yeah, I'd go for it. It's a good 4K release. Memento might be connected to Tenet too. Prestige is connected to Tenet. I don't know if you're laughing at me, but it could be. It could be. Who knows? Who knows? 50% off Barnes and Noble sale and Criterion, The Movie Geek. When is that? Can you let me know? Because I haven't seen anything on that. But I do plan to participate, and I do plan to get a few new titles. I basically only buy Criterion during 50% off sales because I don't really want all of their movies. A lot of their stuff is kind of outside of my realm. But when they have a sale every 6 months, that usually means that there have been 4 or 5 that I'm really interested in and that I will go pick up. So 100%, I always plan to support. But I do prefer to buy from Criterion.com because they give me points. Chris Nolan says he always sees the movies as a different standalone project. I'm telling you right now, Tenet and Inception definitely have some sort of connection. I'll say that. No Country for Old Men 4K, not sure yet. Have I seen Stand By Me on 4K? I have not. I'm going to be on here, guys, for about, I would say, maybe 5 more minutes. So let's just get your questions in here. I'm going to go till about 5 past the hour, maybe 10 past. Memento on 4K. Did Memento come to 4K? They did the Nolan collection on 4K, but I think that was Interstellar, Prestige, the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception. I don't think Memento did. Any giveaways in the future? Yes, Tony Stark, my man, Iron Man. I always have giveaways, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, but I try to do a lot of giveaways. And unfortunately, as the channel gets bigger, it's harder and harder for people to win the giveaways because they get more comments. It's great for me. I love having more subscribers, more followers, but I'm trying to do more giveaways because there's a lot of people. But yeah, I have more giveaways coming. Paramount always loves hooking me up with giveaways. High Def Ninja usually has some good giveaways, and I'm working on some really big stuff. We'll say that for a giveaway, which is it's going to be a lot more than just a $20 movie. Stay tuned for those. I don't know when it'll happen. Planet of the Apes in 4K. No news on that yet. The Mask of Zorro 4K. I have not picked up. I'm not sure about that one. Best 4K players, in my opinion, come from either Panasonic or Sony, but make sure you do your research because unfortunately those players all come with various versions of HDR and compatibility. So just make sure you do your research. If you want Dolby Vision, not every 4K player can support it. So make sure you get the one that can. Hello from El Salvador, William. That's awesome. And Kaiser Soze, 257. I've taken inspiration from you working on turning a walk-in closet to my film vault. Any suggestions on shelving or brands or unforeseen issues? Good question. My shelving all comes from Atlantic Media, which you can get that at Best Buy. I've seen good deals on it at Best Buy. Every now and then Amazon has good deals. You can get a small shelf, which fit really well in my closet because my closet, this slant on the wall above me here, this is how the closet is. So I have like that much headspace. So I got smaller shelves that went all the way around. If you have a full 6-foot closet, you could get the big Atlantic Media Elite shelf and just stick that in your closet and it would look sick. But no, I haven't really run into any issues. Just make sure your closet's sealed up and you don't have sometimes closets get neglected. You don't want water in there. You don't want moisture. You don't want anything that's going to ruin your discs. So just be careful. Batman vs. Superman 4K. Is it worth it? I think so. And it benefits greatly from HDR and better black levels because that movie is so dark. But the 4K on it's really nice. Regardless of what you think of the movie, the 4K looks great. Studio Canal is great with their 4Ks if you're in the UK. I got to get some of their stuff because they're awesome. And yeah, Criterion, I agree with you. I think that we need to just keep sending emails to Criterion and letting them know 4K, 4K, 4K. You guys are the best, in my opinion, the best at doing transfers of movies. You need to go to 4K. Nightmare on Elm Street 4K, nothing yet. Holding out hope for it. How do I like Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision? Thank you for the support there. I got 2 minutes left. If you want your questions in, I highly suggest using the super chat because otherwise I'll get off of here before you get them in. I love Dolby Atmos more than I love Dolby Vision. I think the leap from typical 5.1, 7.1 surround to Dolby Atmos is a much bigger leap than HDR10 to Dolby Vision HDR. Those are like, it's a nice improvement, and some TVs handle it better. But until we have like a straight, like, here's what we're doing. Everything is Dolby Vision HDR, TVs are Dolby Vision. Like, until we get that, it's a mess. So it kind of sucks. Simon, glad you picked up Zombie 4K. It really is incredible for like a B movie, horror movie. What a transfer. Blue Underground, pay attention to them. If they get their hands on some good 4K titles, man, they do an awesome, awesome job. What movies would you suggest people pick up Blu-rays over 4K? Terminator 2 is one. Get the Pan's Labyrinth Criterion Blu-ray instead of the 4K. The Criterion Blu-ray is better. That's also what I've got to investigate with Dr. Strangelove. The Dr. Strangelove Blu-ray may be better than the 4K. Got about 2 minutes left here. Get your questions in on Super Chat. Suspiria 4K was awesome. I did a review on that. Wolf of Wall Street 4K. I haven't seen it, but I bet it would be really cool. And actually, Wolf of Wall Street doesn't have a 4K yet, right? So, what am I saying? Does it? I can't remember now, but need some more Scorsese movies in 4K anyway. Yeah, guys, I've been on here for almost an hour, so I'm gonna I'll give you 30 more seconds here. If you have a question, throw it in there. If it's Super Chat, I'll definitely answer it, but I'll try to get to any others. Only big movies released in 4K. I think so. I think it's got to, if the movie's going to be released in 4K, it has to be a movie that's going to sell well and that people want to upgrade. Otherwise, it won't do well. Army of Darkness 4K, possibly, but I think Scream Factory might still have the rights to that. And why are some American films remastered and only available in Europe? It's a great question, man. I think maybe they think that Americans are more, tend to stream more. How do I protect my steelbooks? Go on eBay, search for steelbook protectors. They're just plastic cases. You stick them around your steelbooks. I only do it with my autographed steelbooks and really good stuff. But if you're really worried about protecting them that much, stick them in a plastic sleeve and you'd be all set there. So with that, I'm gonna sign off. If anyone has a last second question, you can super chat it, but otherwise this will be available for people to watch. Please make sure, if you haven't yet and you're in this live chat, live stream, definitely subscribe to the channel. I have tons of good stuff coming up, giveaways, and make sure you go find me on Instagram too, where I'm always posting. Instagram is probably the easiest way to talk to me. You can also email me at any time, but otherwise I will talk to you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the stream. It was nice talking to everybody again. It's been a little while. Hope you're all doing well out there, staying safe, staying healthy. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.